And now we find ourselves on the inside of the 392 Rubicon, which is a great place to be. Now, this Rubicon is going to have your leather seats, you're going to have your leather wrapped steering wheel, you're going to have your heated seats. Now, Wranglers will not have vented seats, and if you're wondering why, is because we're thinking more than likely you're going to take it off-road somewhere, you're going to have the tops off, and you're probably going to get the interior wet. So as far as I know, we've never offered a Wrangler with the vented seats, but they are heated. Now, the controls on the Jeep are going to be a little different. They're going to be here in the center. They're not going to be on your doors. And the reason being is we're trying to keep the doors as light as possible. Your doors are going to be removable. This is going to be your 3-piece Freedom hardtop. These two tops come off just like old traditional hardtops, T-tops like in an older car. One thing that they've changed, they've re-engineered your latching mechanism. Before, in the older ones, you'd have to use 2 hands to go ahead and you'd have to hold it up, and now they've designed it so it automatically presses forward and it locks itself in place. It's very easy to remove it. You click this and you've got your L-shaped retainers here, and it comes right off. It's a one-person job. It'll take you about 2 or 3 minutes to do, nice and easy. Same thing with your doors. You're gonna have 2 bolts that are hexagonal, so you just use your hex screw to remove it, and it comes right off. The doors come off. Your front windshield now has 3 bolts that hold it in place. It'll also fold forward, and it's almost as close as being on a motorcycle, but you're just a little more protected. You're going to have, of course, your roll cage. God forbid you ever have to use it, but if you do happen to be off-road, you get a little crazy, a little extreme, and it does tip over or just completely roll over, you're going to be fine. Anyway, when you're looking at the controls here, you're going to have your locking front and rear differentials here. Just easy to control here. You've got your sway bar disconnect there. What your sway bar disconnect does, it allows your front end to articulate, so it gives it the ability to go over obstacles, let's say rocks or tree stumps or logs and that kind of thing. And you can just reconnect it. You don't have to step out of the vehicle to do it. You just do it electronically once you're back on the road. Now check this out. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. We're inside the dealership. I don't want to leave it on too long, but this is kind of cool. Now this button here is going to be your active exhaust button. Nice and quiet right here. See, doesn't make any noise. And you know, if you're leaving the house early, you don't want to wake up the neighbors. But if you press this button, now you got some boom to go with the room. There you go. You're going to have your hill descent control. Now your hill descent control will control your speed when you're coming down at an aggressive incline. All you have to do is concentrate on actually steering the vehicle. It'll maintain it at 1, maybe 2 miles an hour, makes it nice and safe. Here are the controls for your heated seats and your heated steering wheel. Your climate control here. You have it both in a tactile feel, so you have your physical buttons for the temperature, both sides. You've got dual climate control, and then you'll also have it active on your Uconnect touchscreen as well. Now, concentrating back on your control panel, and I was mentioning earlier, the controls for the doors, for your windows, and everything else is going to be here in the center due to the fact that we're trying to keep the doors as light as possible. Here are the 2 front and here are the 2 rear. If you've got some unruly passengers in the back that keep rolling down your windows when it's nice and hot here in Texas, you can just lock them right out. And now you've got control up here in the front, and they can't do it in the back if they're kids. Now you're going to have your media controls here. This radio or Uconnect 5 is going to have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Plug it in. You'll have access to, let's just say with your Apple, you're going to have your Apple Maps. You'll have your Google Maps, your Waze navigation, that kind of thing. So you're always connected. What I do, I always track down my GPS coordinates or my destination on my phone, get in the vehicle, plugs it in. And once again, if you find yourself off-road and let's say headed north of San Antonio, and I've mentioned this story before, you go up there, you use your navigation on your phone, no problem getting there. But once you're there, you've got no connection, so you can't get back home. No big deal. You're going to have satellite navigation in this vehicle as well. You're always connected. You can just type in your address, type in the coordinates, type in your favorites, and it'll take you right back home. Now, if you've never been in a Wrangler before and you're in the driver's seat, and you're going to take a look at, why do I have 2 gear shifts? Wrong, they're not 2 gear shifts. This is going to be your gear shift. This is going to be your transfer case. Now, what you can do, you can put the vehicle in neutral, and you can change it out from 4-wheel high auto, which is going to be your standard setting for highway. You're going to have your 4-wheel high part time, so you'll be off-road, and you have your 4-wheel low. Put this in neutral, change the transfer case. If you are somewhere where you have less than ideal traction, that'd be the time to put it in 4-wheel low. Don't ever put it in 4-wheel low. If you are, let's just say, in a parking lot driving, you're going to get what we refer to as Jeep hop. When I refer to Jeep hop, when you put it in four-wheel drive, all four wheels are going to turn at the same speed, identical speed. Now, a typical car will have a differential which will allow for your outer wheel to turn more than your inner wheel. Makes it easy to turn. But when you are in four-wheel high mode or four-wheel low mode, all four wheels are going to turn at the same time. So when you're turning, the inside wheels are going to want to match the turning speed of your outer wheels. So that being said, it's going to just start pushing and hopping around. It's just designed for maximum traction. So you don't want to have your vehicle set up in four-wheel low on any kind of surface that you'll have good traction. You're going to want it if you're in sand, snow, that kind of thing, rocks, where you actually need traction. Now, if you look right in front of the gear shift, you're going to have your 4 auxiliary buttons. Now, those are buttons you can dedicate to, let's just say, if you've got a winch that you need to power up, if you've got any kind of additional LED lights, that kind of thing, you can have them routed to your aux buttons and you can use those to operate those external devices. And right above your mirror, you're gonna have these 3 controls here. It's gonna have your airbag status, you're gonna have your assist, and your SOS. Now, in the rare chance that you purchase the vehicle and you can't get a hold of us, maybe it's after hours, maybe it's a holiday. By the way, Christmas is the only holiday we're not here. But let's just say you're somewhere in Christmas, somewhere out there and you can't reach us. If you hit the assist button, it'll call one of 3 Chrysler help centers. There'll be actual employees here in the US saying, hey, look, how do I activate my hill descent control, that kind of thing. And you'll always have access to actual employees. Here's your SOS button. Now, if you hit your SOS button, it'll dial 911. If you hit the SOS button and don't say anything, it'll be so accurate they can find you down to an exact parking stall. So if you're ever in trouble, hit that button, let them know what's going on. If you can't talk, they will find you that way. Now, this is going to be our 8.4-inch screen on our Uconnect system. Now you'll have your AM, your FM, you'll have your yours-free satellite. You can select your source. If you happen to be using your Bluetooth, it'll go ahead and go there. You'll click on that, that'll go ahead and activate that. Now, whenever you're on this page and you want to see your GPS map, it'll automatically populate there. Once your phone is plugged in, you'll have a different icon here for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Click on that, and that'll take you to your phone's operating system. You can go ahead and browse, you can go replay. Here's your climate controls. Once again, you have both your physical, which will be here, and you've got your touchscreen there. Here's a listing of all your apps, your backup camera. Now, once you're in here, if you hit your off-road page, your off-road plus button, I'm sorry, it'll give you such information as your pitch and roll, which will show you how high or how low your front end is and your roll from side to side, of course. You'll have your accessory gauge. It'll give you your coolant temperature, oil temperature, battery, voltage, transmission temperature, oil pressure. It'll give you your drivetrain information. And if you turn your steering wheel, it'll show you the amount in degrees as to how hard you're turned. It'll show you whether or not your sway bar is connected or disconnected, your front axle, whether it's locked or unlocked. Now, if you find yourself off-road somewhere, due to the fact that it's got GPS, it'll actually give you your coordinates with latitude and longitude, and you can just see it here, Off-Road Plus, and there you are, and you're never really lost. If you find yourself needing help somewhere and you're stuck, you just give them your coordinates and they can track you down that way. Now, earlier we were on the off-road pages and I mentioned your drivetrain, your accessory gauges, and your pitch and roll. I didn't go over your trail cam. Now, the trail cam is really cool. You click on the trail cam and it'll give you a view from what the vehicle sees in front of you, and it'll give you guidelines to let you know where your wheels are going to be. Now, you've got both trail cams for the front and you also have one for the rear, just like that. And you have no idea how handy it'll be until you actually use it when you're off-road, and once you do, you're always going to want to have one available. Here's your factory nav, and you can see here we are at 45 North, and here are your settings, and you can go over your display, your units, your voice commands, that kind of thing. And there we are back at the media page. Once again, if you've got your media page open and you've got the map's in the center. If you press this button, it'll go ahead and disappear. And there goes your information to what station and who's playing and the track they're playing. You're gonna have all your favorites here. You've got a total, I believe, of 12. There you go for AM, FM, and your Sirius. And that, in a nutshell, is your Uconnect. And let's just go ahead and go over pairing a phone. Very simple. You click on your phone icon, you hit pairing, and you can see your paired audio devices, and you can add a device. Obviously, there's my phone, Jaime's iPhone. If you add a device, as soon as you hit scan on your phone, it'll pop up as Uconnect. It'll give you the PIN number, letting you know which portal you're using. and it makes it nice and easy. You can pair up a total of 7 phones. And once your phone is paired, you can answer and you can decline phone calls. You can activate Siri. Once again, if you press the button and let it go, it'll open up Uconnect. If you press it and hold it down, once your phone is paired up, you can activate Siri, give it directions, ask what the temperature is outside, those kind of things. If a text message is coming in, it can read it to you. You can go ahead and respond to the text all via Bluetooth. Okay, now you're gonna be looking at the steering wheel. Now this is very similar to an SRT steering wheel. You're gonna have your thumb rest here. You're gonna have your paddle shifters. Now this being a 392, there's a trick that you can do. And once again, this is only if you're gonna be off-road. You can hold your negative paddle shifter down, and it'll hold it in the lowest possible gear. It'll keep your rev range there until you press in the accelerator. Once you do, it'll shift like an automatic. Makes it for a good aggressive launch closer to your red line than you would normally have to when you're guessing. This vehicle is going to have your adaptive cruise control. Good thing about your adaptive cruise control, let's just say you've got your cruise control set at 65 miles an hour. You're on the highway, somebody's doing a leisure 50 miles an hour, they get in front of you, the vehicle will match its pace, and you can adjust how close or how far. You can adjust the distance. Once the vehicle gets out of your way, it'll automatically on its own resume up to your predetermined 65 mile an hour speed. This is, of course, going to have your wireless Bluetooth connection, so you'll have both your Uconnect. If you're with an iPhone, you're going to have access to Siri. If you're going to be on any kind of an Android device, you'll have your Google Assistant, and you'll press once and let it go. That'll be your Uconnect. If you press and hold it, it'll activate your voice assistant, like I said, with your either iPhone or your Android devices. You'll have controls back here, little rocker arms, so it'll control your volume. It'll control your stations, and you've got buttons that'll control your sources, and it'll also control your favorites. Now, looking here, you're gonna have your full color instrument cluster. Now, all this is gonna be tailorable. Now, if you look over here to the top left-hand side, you'll see your compass. It'll show you we're facing west, and you'll see the ambient temperature in here is a nice 68 degrees because, of course, we're indoors. It's not the 105 degrees that is outside. Now, if you toggle through it, you're gonna have your vehicle info page. I'm not sure if you guys can see, there's a little green hash mark down at the bottom. Now, as you toggle through it, you're gonna have your tire pressure, you'll have your coolant temperature, transmission temperature, oil pressure. I think the next one is oil life. There we go, it's 100% brand new vehicle. And your battery voltage. Now, let's just say that you have it on the coolant temperature because you just want to see how cool or how warm your engine's running, and you happen to run over something and you start losing air pressure in one of your tires. Well, you'll get an audible chime, and it'll automatically go back to your tire pressure page, and whichever tire is losing air will turn red and start flashing to let you know. It'll give you a chance to get to a safe place. Now let's keep scrolling down, and there's your off-road cluster here. It'll show you your angle for your front wheels. It'll show you how you have your drivetrain set up. Once again, there's your pitch and roll. Now, the vehicle's not running right now, but you can just see the outline of your Jeep here. It'll give you your pitch and roll as to how high or how low your front end or rear end is, and once again, your left to right roll. Your adaptive cruise control is showing you right now it is off. Obviously, the vehicle is in the off position, but if you have it enabled, it'll pop up here and it'll show you as to how close or how far you're following. Here on the steering wheel, you've got your small hash marks and you got your long hash marks. If you want to get closer, you hit the bottom one. If you want to increase the distance, you hit the top one. Your fuel economy now, it's saying 14.7. It's been idling inside, but it should be getting a little higher once you get on the highway. There's your range there. There's your trip info. I always set those up whenever I'm going somewhere. I set both the A and the B, so it'll give me an idea of how far I'm going before I gas up, and then the entirety of the trip. Here's your audio page, lets you know what you're listening to. And here's your stored messages. If you need any kind of an oil change, any kind of update, you'll get the message here. It'll let you know, as well as through your Uconnect app, which will send it to your email and also a text message. So let's go back one more to number one. There's 9, there's your screen setup, pardon me. And number 1, you're back at your speedometer. Now the check engine line is on just because right now the vehicle is off and it's running diagnostics on the front and rear of the vehicle, including the motor, but everything's good. As soon as you fire it up, it'll disappear. And you're good to go.